A soldier runs away from the horrors of war, finds love with a virgin farm girl and a mistreated housewife, and will find that it is difficult to survive the battles of romance and love. Apart from being somewhat incongruously in black and white, 1970 was a bit late in the day for that. This is very much a product of its time, with rather gratuitous strobe-like psychedelic editing, even during quiet dialogue scenes. A classic Euro cinema score with acid guitar and wordless Morricone-style female vocals, plus other very now as well as very dated stylistic gambit that rather oddly apply to a simple story of a war deserter hiding out on a farm, where he is the wishbone being tugged between two hot, hungry women, with a couple loutish supporting male characters thrown in as well. It's an arty exploitation movie or a somewhat trashy art film, whatever you choose. Its co-feature on the Mondo Macabro set is slightly earlier Greek title The Wild Pussycat, which is much more bluntly a pure exploitation movie, but also in many respects a truly inspired one. In a way, the story is reminiscent of the British Triple Echo, made 3 years later, except that film about another deserting soldier caught in a love triangle flirted with notion of cross-dressing and homoeroticism, whereas this is all about tempestuous woman driven crazy by yearning for a man and his wang. The protagonist, who looked like a cross between Michael Sarrazin and Alain Delon, lands in the hayloft of busty, neglected, heavily massacred farm wife. Lesser Italian bombshell Franca Parisi, who retired soon after this, while likewise attracting the frenetically crotch-rubbing attention of a pixie's neighboring farm girl Rena Valli. There is a whole lot of meaningful staring between the principals, but the nudity and love content are pretty mild. There is, however, some girl-on-girl mud wrestling and a weird scene involving the local witch, cause why not? Anyway, you can guess where this is headed. Our protagonist is probably doomed, but he is going to get a lot of hell of action first. As the Beach Boys sang, it's two girls for every boy, or for this boy at least. The movie begins and ends as an anti-war statement, but in between it just a potboiler that would have worked for Rasmaya. Although, admittedly, he would have given it quite a different flavor. It's hardly a major find, but it's more interesting than you'd expect and more artistically ambitious, or you might say pretentious, than the fairly trashy little story or probably minuscule budget required. Strangely, The Wild Pussycat was given an uncredited Italian remake by Jordi Amato a few years later, while this movie was also remade by another Italian exploitation maestro, albeit the very same year, Bruno Mattei, who edited The Deserter, directed Amida with Parisi again. Actually not really clear whether Deserter is the original and Amida the remake. or vice versa, particularly since both are rather obscure. Alexis, a soldier who managed to survive a deadly battle, is defeated by the army and take refuge in the barn of a farm. The landowner's young wife, Amina, discovers him and offers him food, but without saying anything to her husband. Then she falls in love with him passionately. But the same happens with her neighbor Lisa. A terrible rivalry develops between the two women, but it does not last long, as the landowner discovers Alexis and hand him over to the police without hesitation. The singer Alexandra, who died in 1979, is credited as Alexa Kyriakiki, but is not seen in the shorter TV version. This was her second film after 1968's The Avenue of Hate, directed by Nikos Foskolos. Christos Kefalas may have directed this film back to back, for which he received 3 awards at the 1969 Thessaloniki Film Festival. Both are anti-war movies. The credit presents Stefanos Tragis as the protagonist in the common sense of special appearance by. The film was remastered and transferred to video during 2012-2013 for TV broadcast in a shorter version than announced for the original 1970s Armada il Drama di una Sposa. The film editor presented an Italian version with exactly the same story and at least the same top actress. Believe all the cast and crew of the Italian version are fake. Lipotaktis is the final film of Franca Parisi. Disgracefully, we have only seen a handful of Greek films. Let's check out this by Mondo Macabro. Horror movie photography, spaghetti western music, romance psychodrama, and Fassbinder-esque display of emotion. Think that sum it up pretty well. Other than it's one of those films that are enjoyable even when very little is technically happening. It's just the atmosphere. Either the director never worked again or his credits just aren't on website. It would be a shame if he was just out of the business. Franca Parisi is amazing and want to see more of her. The comparison to The Beguiled are very warranted, but prefer this. Maybe because it accomplishes the same thing but with far less words. And there is a witch. A young soldier escapes a seemingly endless war and winds up in the middle of an entirely different battle. Now he is trapped between the desire of two desperate women. It's another lost Greek film found by the folk at Mondo Macabro, who seem to specialize in discovering movies that you never knew about that you suddenly find out you need to own. Armina, Franca Parisi, Atom Age Vampire, is trapped in a loveless marriage to a farmer who only cares about getting rich selling moonshine to soldier. And the other woman, Greek singing star Alexandra Kyriakaki, is much younger and lives in a world of fantasy. They are both in love with the soldier who has been hiding in a barn and falling for both of them. was really struck by how rapid the cuts are in some of these scenes, almost a strobing effect as the emotional anguish increases. This movie has the kind of insane love in it that causes women to pull knives and fight one another in the mud. There is also a great scene in here when the younger girl casts a love spell to try and keep the soldier all to herself. Gisela Dali, the Greek bardo, has a brief role here as the witch who aided her. This film was edited and perhaps directed by Bruno Mattei, who remade it in Italy as Amida, a wife story with Parisi, returning to star in the remake. You can get this on a double disc along with the Wild Pussycat from Mondo Macabro. What's this wound? How did you get that? It's from the witch. She needed some of my blood. Just a drop, I didn't feel any pain. So you mean the deserter reminded us a bit of low-budget Greek version of The Beguiled, only with two women instead of several, a young virgin and her older unhappily married cousin. There is obviously a bit of trouble once the two women find out that they are both involved with the same guy that's been hiding in the barn. But things ventured outside of my expectation as the younger one sought help from a witch. It's not the most original film that we have seen, but it's beautifully shot in black and white with the kind of high contrast that absolutely love. And the ending went beyond expectation as well. It's a bonus film on Mondo Macabro's The Wild Pussycat if you are interested in seeing it. A soldier fleeing from war is caught up in a bizarre love triangle with two women. Uninteresting watch, well acted. The final act definitely turned up the intensity. The role of Lisa, the lead actress of the film, is played by Franca Parisi. Franca Parisi graduated from the Centro Sperimentale di Cinematografia of Rome in 1955 and made her screen debut that same year in Raffaello Matarazzo film The White Angel. She then acted in a number of films of the peplum or drama genre, sometimes under the pseudonym Margaret Taylor. In 1959, she married the Austrian actor Erwin Stoll. In the 60s, Parisi came to television, where she starred in many television dramas. Memorably, she played Jane in Anton Julia Mazzano's The Black Arrow. She retired to private life in the second half of the 1970s. Film is directed by Christos Kefalas. Christos Kefalas is an editor and actor, known for 1970s or Lipotaktis, 1971's Crash Part Des Grands, and 1970s All the Terror. It's an arty exploitation movie or a somewhat trashy art film, whatever you choose. Its co-feature on the Mondo Macabro set is slightly earlier Greek title The Wild Pussycat, which is much more bluntly a pure exploitation movie.